Hello, welcome back. In this video, we're going to be creating our custom image for our ship we're going to be using for our space fighter game in a program called Gimp. So you can download that file from the course inside of Canvas, or you can follow us here and go to your browser, go to your search bar, and type in Gimp. Now, Gimp is a free and open source graphics editing software. And what we're going to look for is a link that says gimp.org and downloads. Make sure it says this right here. Click on the link and find your installation button and install it for your operating system. Open it up and let's get started. So I went ahead and open it up, and you might notice on yours it might be pretty small. Just expand it, have it take up the whole screen. So I'm going to go and expand it here. Now you notice mine doesn't show up with any toolbars. Yours might show up with some toolbars that have all these little tools on the side. If yours doesn't, or if you get rid of those toolbars, it's not a big deal. You can go to Windows and you can go to New Toolbox. So notice I've got a new toolbox here, and those are the tools we're going to use to edit our image. Now I also want to be able to edit the features of the brushes that we're going to be using in the program. So let's go ahead and go to Windows, and let's go to Tools rather. Dockable dialogues. So Windows, dockable dialogues, and tool options. So we have our tool options here that allows us to set what's going on with each one of these tools. So we can set the hardness, the size of it, etc. And I'm going to actually click this and drag it down to the bottom of this window here, which is probably how yours is set up as the default toolbox. So now here we have our toolbox, and we can edit the properties of our tool. So we have an airbrush, and we can edit all of its properties. Now we just need to create a new file, so I'm going to go to File, New, and we want to set the image size as 64 pixels by 64 pixels. That'll give us a pretty small ship that we can use on our small screen for our game. So 64 by 64, click OK. Notice it's itsy bitsy tiny, so let's go ahead and zoom in on that. So now that we have our screen, we want to set the background color. To do that, we can just click on the paint brush or paint bucket can right here. So it's looking for an image of a bucket that looks like it's being spilled out. Make sure that your background color, or foreground color rather, is set to black, and click on the screen. Should make it black. Now I like to have grid lines to help guide what I'm doing inside the program, so I'm going to create some grid lines to show up on here. So to do that, I'm going to right click the image, go to Image, come down to Configure Grid, and let's go ahead and create a grid. Since it's 64 by 64, I guess I'll do my grids about 2 pixels a piece. So that means every box inside the grid will be 2 pixels wide by 2 pixels tall. Click Foreground Color. You want our foreground color to be white because, make sure all these are set to 0. White. Great. We want our foreground color to be white because that means the color of the grid lines themselves will be white on the black background. Click OK. Click OK. Notice that the grid does not show up. So first we right clicked, we went to Windows, we went to Image, Configure Grid, we set the background color to solid, foreground color white, spacing 2 pixels by 2 pixels. Now we're going to go to View, right there, View, and we want to select Show Grid Line. There we are, Show Grid. So notice now it shows all of our grid lines. Now we're going to create a ship. I am definitely not an artist at all. I draw stick figures. That's about it. So you can probably do a much better job on your ship than I can, and I encourage you to do so. You can use a pencil tool or a paintbrush tool. I'm going to be using a paintbrush tool for this one. Now notice it says, as soon as I click on the paintbrush tool, down here, normal. That's okay. Click on normal mode, opacity 100%, great, hardness 50, okay, size. Now if I click size 20, it's huge. This is how big it would be. So let's set our size to be, oh, I don't know, 2. Let's see what that looks like. Click anywhere else on the screen to reset the size, And notice it's about this size right here. Now let's set the color, the foreground color. I want the foreground color, I'm going to make my ship teal. So I'm going to click on the teal color up here, click the little arrow icon to add the teal color, click on it, make sure it's selected. And now when we draw on the screen, it should be teal. Those aren't quite as dark as I would like them to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the brush hardness to be 100. And let's see if that makes it any darker. Great. I'm going to press Control Z to undo what I just got through doing. Or you can go Edit and you can undo as you do it. So for me it's Control Z, your controls might be a little bit different. Alright, so now I'm going to create a ship and I'm just going to basically make it a triangular shape. So I'm going to click and hold the left click button, then I'm going to hold Shift and I'm going to drag. Oops, let's try that again. Click, Shift, and sorry, you don't hold the click button. You click once, hold the Shift button, and then extend it out to where you want it. So notice this is 0 pixels, is 64 wide, so I want it to be right at 32 to be exactly in the middle. And I can tell it's in the middle because I'm looking at the little arrow icon saying what pixel I'm at right here. So now I'm going to click once, Shift, hold down Shift button, click once, and let's go down over here and try to match it on the side. I didn't really pay too much attention to that last time, but we're going to hit right at 32. So there's the wings of our ship. Let's go ahead and I'm going to make these go maybe in a little bit. So hold down Shift. Oops, it's still holding where I was at before. Click, hold down Shift, and let's make our wings go maybe like this. Sure, why not? Hold down Shift. Shift again, and Shift again. Okay, so there's my very odd ship. Like I said, I'm not an artist at all. You can probably do way better on your ship than I did on mine. Now I'm still got the paintbrush tool. I'm gonna add some thrusters in the back, but first let's fill in our ship with the teal color covering the whole ship, and let's color back over. Oops. Let's go ahead and set the background color to teal as well. So there we go. I'm using the eraser tool, and basically I'm erasing the black with a teal color. So here we go. We've got our ship, and I'm erasing with the black color. You're welcome to play around with this, make it do whatever you'd like. And I kind of want my ship to be a little bit bigger, so I'm going to make this area a little bit wider. And let's add some thrusters. So to add some thrusters, I'm going to click on the color, and let's make the color come out red. Click OK. I'm click on my paintbrush tool. Let's see if that works. So I've got some exhaust thrusters going on in the back here, maybe kind of tapering off. And let's do a little bit more. I'm going to put some yellow in the middle. So there we go. So I've got my thrusters here. Alright, we probably want to add some guns to it. So let's use our teal color. Let's use a different color for the guns. Let's make it a little bit darker. There we go. And let's add a couple guns to it. So I'm going to click, Shift up, Shift over, Shift down. And there's one gun. Get about in line. Click, Shift over, click, Shift over, click, Shift down. And there's our other gun. Totally not balanced, but that should work for the most part. You can play around with this again to make it look however you'd like, and I'm going to clean that up a little bit. There we go. So now we have a ship, we have our guns. I realized we're only going to be shooting one bullet at a time, so probably be better just to erase the guns altogether. Ah, fiddlesticks. Okay, so that's it for now. We've got our ship created. We're going to go ahead and export this. If you try to click File, Save, it's going to save the GIMP file. So we can call this ship if you want. But in order to use the image inside of our program, we need to go to File, Export, and we need to export it as ship.png. I believe you can also use JPEG files. You've got all kinds of options here when you click the export options, and so JPEG is an option as well as PNG. I'm going to use a PNG and click export. Notice where it's being saved. In my case, it's being saved under my documents. I'm going to need that here in a little bit. So click export, and there you go. We've got a ship. We've got some thrusters and discard changes. Go ahead and close out your GIMP program, and let's go ahead and open up your IntelliJ. Now, in your IntelliJ, what you want to do is I'm going to go ahead and shrink this down a little bit. You want to go to Core. You want to click on Assets. And what we're going to do is I'm going to go to my files. I'm going to go to my where did I save that? Desktop again? Was that desktop or documents? I believe it was documents. There it is. I've got my ship. I'm going to drag my ship on over from here. And you can literally just click and drag, make sure it highlights your assets, drop it, say OK. And now it's added the ship to our assets, which basically means we're going to be able to draw it on the screen. So, in here, it said badlogic.jpg. You want to change this under Image, New Texture. So, we're going to set our texture to the texture we just loaded, which is just the image, the ship.png. So, under Internal Path, make sure it's enclosed inside the parentheses and inside of the quotation marks. Type in ship.png. Save and run. Yay, we have a ship, and now we can move the ship around on the screen as we're going to start firing some bullets, moving the ship around, and have some collisions in future videos. So I look forward to seeing you in the next video where we are going to create movement for the ship with using the arrow buttons on your keyboard. Alright, that's it for now. Y'all, thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to seeing you next class.